You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because your mind never stops fighting battles that already ended. Think about yesterday. Something small happened, a sharp comment, a text that felt off, a conversation that didn't land the way you wanted. The moment passed, but you didn't let it pass. You took it home. You replayed it during dinner. You ran through different versions of what you should have said while you were trying to fall asleep. And by the time morning came, you were already exhausted before the day even started. That's not stress. That's something more specific. And once you understand what it actually is, you can stop it. What's up, guys? The topic today sounds simple: protecting your peace. But the reason most people fail at it has nothing to do with willpower or mindset habits or morning routines. It has to do with a misunderstanding about where peace actually lives. And by the end of this, you're going to see something about your own mental habits that you probably haven't been able to name before. Here's what nobody tells you. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the absence of permission. Permission you give to problems to keep living inside your head long after they've already finished in real life. Research from the University of Michigan suggests that the average person spends roughly 30 to 40% of their waking mental activity not on present experience, but on imagined conversations, past events, and future worries that haven't happened yet. That number stops being abstract once you notice it in yourself. The real question is, Mamayam Kaho, what is all that mental rehearsal actually costing you? The answer is everything. Not dramatically, quietly, one small emotional rerun at a time. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote something that most people read as political strategy, but it lands much closer to home than that. Alet. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. The part people skip past is the if you cannot be both. He wasn't advising cruelty. He was pointing at the cost of trying to hold two contradictory positions at once. And your mind does this constantly. You want peace, but you keep re-entering conflict. You want clarity, but you keep feeding confusion. You cannot hold both. At some point, you have to choose which one gets your energy. Most people never choose, they just react. And reacting feels like participation, but it's actually surrender. The reason this matters more right now than at almost any point in recent memory is attention fragmentation. A 2022 research review published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology found that chronic digital interruption, not just screen time, but the anticipation of interruption, rewires the nervous system to stay in a low-level alert state even during rest. In plain terms, your brain has been trained to treat quiet like a warning sign. So when peace actually arrives, something in you gets suspicious of it. That's not weakness, that's conditioning. And conditioning can be reversed. But here's the part nobody talks about. The first place your peace gets stolen is not in difficult conversations or genuinely stressful days. It's in the 2 minutes after. The moment when the situation ends and your mind decides whether to file it away or keep it open. Most people keep it open. They don't even realize they're doing it. It feels like thinking. It feels like processing. But there is a real difference between processing something and punishing yourself with it repeatedly. Processing looks like something happened, it had meaning, here's what I learned, moving forward. Punishment looks like, man, something happened, let me replay it 17 more times and imagine every version of how it could have gone differently. One is useful. One is the reason you feel drained by 3 in the afternoon on a day where nothing particularly bad even happened. So how do you actually stop it? Not with affirmations. Not by telling yourself to relax. The mechanism is simpler and harder than either of those things. You have to build what some researchers call a cognitive off-ramp, a deliberate internal signal that tells your brain a situation is closed. Athletes use this. Surgeons use it. Elite performers across high-pressure fields have some version of a closing ritual that tells the nervous system that chapter is done. You don't need to keep the file open. For most people, this starts with something almost embarrassingly small. When a moment ends, you name it as ended, not out loud, internally. That conversation is over. I gave it what I had. It's closed. That sounds too minor to matter. It isn't. Over time, that pattern trains your brain to stop treating past events as ongoing threats. Machiavelli had a line that cuts straight to this layer of thinking. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men around him. Most people read that as leadership advice. But turn it inward. The thoughts you keep returning to are the company your mind keeps. What does your mental neighborhood look like? Are you surrounded by closed chapters you keep choosing to reopen? Or are you selective, bringing forward only what actually serves the moment you are living in right now? And this is where it gets uncomfortable. The real reason most people struggle to protect their peace isn't external pressure. It's that they've built an identity around emotional responsiveness. Being affected by things feels like caring. Staying calm feels like not caring. So they overreact not because they're weak, but because they've confused sensitivity with depth. Those are not the same thing. You can feel things deeply without bleeding publicly. You can take situations seriously without carrying them forever. The social side of this is where it becomes strategically powerful. When you stop visibly reacting to everything, people around you notice something shift. Not because you've become cold, because you've become harder to read, and that commands a different kind of presence. Tension escalates when both parties keep feeding it. One person who refuses to match the energy doesn't just protect their own state, they change the temperature of the entire room. That's not aggression. It's influence through stability, and it builds gradually, not through one impressive moment, but through hundreds of small decisions to close the file instead of reopening it. Here's the only thing you actually need to take from this today. Start watching the 2-minute window after a difficult moment. Before your mind launches the replay, catch it. Name the moment closed. Return your attention to wherever you physically are. Try that consistently for 2 weeks and notice what happens to the weight you've been carrying. Peace doesn't require perfect circumstances. It requires a mind that knows when to stop fighting. If this connected with you, share it with someone who carries too much quietly. Subscribe to Vertex Vision, there's a lot more coming. And remember this before you go, the world is always going to be loud. The question is whether you keep inviting it in.